How's it going, guys? Today we have a review from a professional competitive game as part of the Icon series, which is like a Southeast Asian kind of grassroots-ish preliminary sort of tournament aimed at kind of fostering like a wild grift competitive scene within within Southeast Asia. So today we're looking at a game between two Singaporean teams. The reason why I chose this game is because it actually highlights it highlights the fundamental importance of drafting, okay? Not to some extent solo queue, but more so for like the competitive scene. Drafting is very important. It essentially gives you a game plan, right? It kind of indicates to everybody in the team based off your draft how it is that you wish to play the game. It allows you to gain early advantages if you can draft correctly, and it also, it's essentially just fundamental. It underlines your fundamental game plan, right? If you have bad drafting, your chances of winning the game, go down ever so slightly depending on the difference between your draft and the enemy's draft. In essence, it kind of governs how you're going to play the game, and in some ways it can give you early advantages even before the match has even started. So the reason I highlight this game in particular, so we just get into the pick and ban, is because it highlights the significant importance about drafting with intention, and also it highlights the importance of being able to pick a composition where you can actually contest these early dragon fights. So what you'll see in this game actually is a very, very interesting case study in this very concept. Now, Noblesse here, first pick Camille. Camille's a very strong champion, very good split pusher, reasonably good team fighter in Wild Rift. She's also not a bad jungler, pretty good ganker. Celestials, they respond with Ezreal, and obviously they're hovering Braum, but I've already seen this game, so I know that in fact they do pick up Braum. So, you got Ezreal and Braum, not a bad pickup into Camille. Braum's very defensive, he prevents any kind of Camille backline dives. So far so good, pretty standard. As for the bans, they banned Fiora, I guess because they wanted to first pick Camille. Camille's she doesn't like Fiora, yeah. I think Jax is a good counter, but they don't seem to want to opt into Jax, although I'm not too familiar with the matchup in Wild Rift. Maybe it's, it might not be quite the same as it would be in PC LoL. Hovering the Gragas. Gragas is a reasonable pick, although I think it's a bit weird to pick Gragas into Braum because, if the Braum is attentive, the Braum can actually use his shield just to block the Gragas ult, and obviously that heavily hinders, what Gragas is able to do. But the thing with Gragas, guys, right? For anybody who's not too familiar with League of Legends, what Gragas does in this case, he's actually a flex pick. By flex, it means you can actually, flexible, essentially. He fits multiple different roles. You can play him in jungle, you can play him in top, you can play him in mid or support. So these guys, and to be honest, he's a strong champion in every single one of these roles. So the main thing that these guys have with picking Gragas here is, it doesn't give anything away about the drafting. So what Noblesse are doing here is they're picking a champion which is universally strong, yeah, but they're not actually giving away where it is he wants to go. So it's just a useful pick, yeah, because it always keeps the enemy guessing. Every pick that you pick that's ambiguous, it forces the enemy to pick in response, but they may make an incorrect pick. So for example, if they think the Gragas is support, they might not pick Alistar, but then you just flex the Gragas to mid. So then, it's almost like you get an extra ban in some ways, because certain matchups just aren't playable, but, just something to bear in mind. So far, pretty normal. The Gragas pick isn't amazing into Braum, but, it's not the end of the world. Corki, again, another flex pick. Flex picks are very important, guys. Honestly, they can really bring confusion in the enemy team. Honestly, but if you see lots of flex picks, it really makes it difficult to kind of like draft against. That's the advantage that Noblesse has here. So they basically pick 3 champions, all of which have flex potential. So Camille, Gragas, and Corki, they could go to various different lanes. This is a very, very powerful tool in drafting. Trust me. And we'll see the importance of this as the game goes on. So, third pick by Celestials, they have Graves. Always go. Okay. Now this is a very big mistake by Celestials. Graves doesn't really offer anything to this team comp, right? I mean, you kind of got to think, okay, when you're drafting, you want to have a game plan. It's kind of like, okay, based off our team comp, that kind of gives like an indication, right? An identity of how we want to play the game. So your first pick here, you got Ezreal Braum, fair enough. Pretty good 2v2. Graves, now, the thing is with Graves, yeah, he's not a very good ganker because he has no CC, has no crowd control on his own. So what you would normally do with Graves is just go for like a full farming style game. So I mean, if they're what they're doing is maybe they're assuming that either Camille or Gragas will be a jungler. You know, these are quite gank heavy junglers, so maybe the thinking is that okay, I'll just pick Graves, I'll just farm you guys, yeah, and then you know I'll just progress into the mid lane, sorry, in the mid game with more items than you guys, and then providing that you don't get any big ganks off, you know, we'll be ahead of this kind of scaling team. That's not so bad, but the issue is here the Akali pick. Now the thing is with okay, what this actually identifies is as soon as you pick this Akali, you've placed your team comp into a theme. So you have reasonably good 2v2 lane. Yeah, Braum's quite a reactionary champion, you know, he's a very good disengage, very good peel type champion, but he's not a particularly proactive laner. He's okay with Ezreal, you know, if Braum gets a good Q off, it kind of means that Ezreal can follow up and do quite a lot of damage. But you know, the Akali pick, it's like, what does this team want to do? You know, does it want to team fight? If so, right? Graves is not a really good team fighter if he has to be the one to engage. Neither is Akali, and neither is Braum. So it's like all of these champions here, right? All these champions, they have no real way of starting a fight. You don't want to start a fight with Akali because then you have to blow your major cooldowns just to survive, you know? It's like you would have to engage with Akali, use Shroud immediately and hope that your team follows up. And that's not so bad, but you should never have Akali as your main engage. Akali should always be like, you know, trying to flank, try and find a good angle to get to the backline very easily. She does not want to be the main kind of front to back type engage style champion. So already from Celestials, what they're doing here is their draft is very severely lacking identity. Like, on one hand, you have champions which just want to like go for the backline or try and side lane or pick up what they can, yeah? You got a disengaged champion, and Ezreal's kind of whatever, you can fit him into anything, but it's going to be very difficult now to round out this team comp unless you have like a Malphite or, you know, something which can... to be honest, even Alistar top. I would prefer Alistar top than whatever they pick here because you need something to start a fight. Yeah, you need to form primary engage, so that you need a big tank so that these two guys here can get space, and then also you need Braum for either backline support or secondary engage, right? All these champions are very secondary engage based champions. What's more so to that, right? These guys, they're kind of locking in their intention too early in the sense that, yeah, Kali is a flex between mid and top, right? But now these guys can just draft around that. Well, I suppose you don't really have a choice, you know, that's kind of like, you know, that's sort of Noblesse's big advantage here. It's that because they picked so many flex picks, you have no choice but just to settle on something, yeah? So they pick a Kali because I'm going to guess both the mid and top are quite proficient with it. But again, it's just, you know, because Noblesse has picked these flex picks and because this team comp so far has really no identity whatsoever, yeah? It's, all these guys need to do is pick like a strong team fighter or maybe like, yeah, like an early game ganker like Lee Sin. And then, you know, these guys should have a very easy game plan. Nice simple team comp. Janna is a really, really good pick here, right? Braum struggles very much in range matchups. Lulu, Seraphine, Janna, all can really harass Braum, right? Force him to use a shield in lane, force him to go out of mana back early. Like these range champions, especially if they pick Ignite, they can cause a lot of problems for Braum. Really, like, I do not like playing this matchup. Any champion that can push and harass. And then they finish off with Orianna. You know, the reason why they pick Orianna here, guys, is she's just a nice stable pick, yeah? So because Akali can effectively go either mid or top lane, they're just thinking, okay, well, I'll just pick a mid laner, which is basically good into anything. Yeah, Orianna is good into anything. You know, I'd much rather these guys picked Orianna than Akali, actually. Although maybe that would mean they could counter pick top. So, you know, that's whatever. But so far, Noblesse's team, yeah? So they've managed to flex. They flexed the top three, and then they locked in their team with the bottom two picks, yeah? So I'm going to guess it's going to be, you know, Corki, Janna, bot lane. That wins into Ezreal Braum. Mostly because, you know, they can just push and harass, and Corki is actually, you know, Corki is a very strong early game champion. Then we have the Gragas, who I'm going to guess will be either mid, top, or jungle. But since the Orianna's here, I can guarantee the Orianna will be mid. And then, you know, it's a choice between these two, which they can still flex. They can still flex these two picks until the final pick is locked in. So right now, either of these could swap based off whatever matchup comes into top. So very, very good drafting for Noblesse. And I really, really do mean that. The drafting of this team is actually exceptional. So let's see what, you know, Celestials round this out with, because honestly they're going to need a very hard engage. This Galio's a strong champion, but again, it's secondary engage. It's secondary engage, guys. Look, right? Galio needs a target to ult on, right? So you've got Secondary engage, secondary engage, secondary, secondary. You guys have no way to start a fight. I mean, that's a really crippling problem. A Malphite would have been better here. Like I said, an Alistair top would have been good here. I dare say, you know, if they didn't pick Gragas, Gragas obviously would be a great pick here. The thing is here, you've just got, you know, you got loads of backup champions, but you don't have anybody who's just going to go in and start a fight. So the impact that this is going to have is it means that, you know, in the event of the first dragon fight, unless you guys are mechanically outplay or you have better wave positions, then, you know, if it's just a straight front to back team fight, it's going to be so much harder for Celestials to actually do something impactful. And the reason for that is just because, you know, they just have no primary engage. Every single one of these champions wants to be the follow-up. Like, yeah, you can engage with a Kali if you want, but it's not proper, you know. There's no point in picking a Kali, yeah? If you want to have primary engage, just pick something else. It's just not necessary, man. But anyway, let's get in the game. So I'll skip the casters. Trust me, we don't need to hear what these guys are saying. It's not particularly interesting. Okay. Aris, top laner Gragas, has gone for Barrier. I don't think he needs that. Not against Galio. Galio's not that strong. Galio's going top lane. Okay, Orianna, first access to the wave. That's not good because now he can get a reset. So not a reset, he can get a push and get early vision. It's not a good choice by the Akali to let that wave crash in. Palkia is a strong early game champion, man. Trust me, like, I like to pick Conqueror on this guy. Conqueror ignites champion and just run it down, man. People don't expect it, but this champion's level 3 is super strong. Actually, I love the Camille jungle, man. I really love this draft for Noblesse. Awesome. Genuinely, it is. I mean, I'm not going to say the quality of play in all of these games is very good, but the drafting, absolutely. Full marks to Noblesse. So let's see what happens. Like I said, this, you know, this bot lane is actually winning for Noblesse here. You know, they just get so much range harass here. It's like very difficult for Braum and Ezreal to walk up to the wave just purely because it's just ranged into melee. Ezreal can last hit with Q, yeah, but it's just not proper. It means that they're not the ones who get to decide what happens in that matchup. Really, really good trade by Young, but, you know, mechanically it was a good trade, but unfortunately he's missing out on all that HP here. I think Gragas is probably quite a good pick into, yeah, in some ways actually, yeah, Celestials might have counterpicked themselves with his Galio top here. Like, it does fine into Gragas, but it's not winning, you know. It's like, if Galio dashes in, Braum can, sorry, not Braum, Gragas can also just use his dash, and I think Gragas wins in that situation. Also, in terms of damage, yeah, they're about even, but, you know, I'd probably value the Gragas ult a little bit higher than the Galio one. So I wouldn't expect too much to happen in this game, guys, until the first dragon spawns. Do know, yeah, that the first dragon here is Infernal. You can check on the map, and it's going to spawn in just under 2 minutes' time. Celestials are going to need to have very good wave control. Yeah, they're going to have to bounce all their waves at the same time, push, get jungle vision before they actually go for this dragon, if they want to get it, because in a pure front-to-back team fight, these guys are just going to lose here. It's like they have no primary engage. They have actually I dare say actually they have losing lanes in every lane except maybe mid, which might be slightly Akali favoured, but it's more of a skill matchup. So the downside with this drafting is it just means that they've got no winning lanes. Yeah, they've got no winning lanes and they get outscaled. It's a very bad position to be in. But let's see what happens. Naiko out of mana here. You know, very good job by Aris trying to zone away. I don't expect anything to happen for the next minute, guys. This is what it's like, yeah. Wild Rift is all about whoever gets the first dragon. If you learn nothing else from any of the videos I produced, yeah, it's whoever gets the first dragon wins the game. It's just, it's not universally true, but it's all, especially in solo queue, it's almost always the case, yeah. The first dragon wins the game, and especially if it's Infernal. So let's see. Really good push by the bot lane of Noblesse here. They know that they have a winning matchup, and also they've got a very strong ganking jungler, so they just win the 3v3, if you want to think of it that way. They win the 3v3, the only possible advantage Celestials can get in the mid lane, and while this, you know, Young seems to be pretty mechanically good, again, you know, the Orianna doesn't have to fight him. Orianna's job isn't really to win this lane, yeah, because he outscales, all he has to do is sit there. Okay guys, gotta highlight something here, right? This is, if you watch professional League of Legends, you'll notice that this is where one of the big disconnects is. Dragon is up in 9 seconds. Now look at the recalls, yeah? On both sides of the map, the top laners are both still here. Mid laners are recalling, bot laners haven't recalled, but supports just have. You know, well, Braum just has. Again, it's like the way you want to kind of play out these fights, right, is somebody needs to get pushed and they need to get priority. So Orianna has priority over Akali. Priority, for those that don't for those that don't know what it means you have, you know, you can push, essentially. You can win the push. You can push first and roam first. So what should normally happen here is, because both bot lane and mid lane have priority, what should have happened is about 1 minute before the dragon spawned, right? They should have pushed out their lane, went in, took some vision, then gone for a base, reset, pushed in again, and then went to get the dragon, yeah? And they can set up around that because they have the vision, they know when they can set up these things. But what's happening here is the level of vision control isn't particularly great, and not only that, you'll see that everybody's bases are staggered, right? Mid laners are backing, top laners are still there, AD carries are still in lane, so everyone's kind of matching, but no one here is trying to press for an advantage. And while this is especially, see, look, now the AD carry is backing, it's all very, very staggered. You know, you need to time your back timings to such a level so that you can actually pressure the map at the same time. Yeah, it's called tempo. It's what tempo refers to. Yeah, it's like who's got the most kind of advantage at any one moment, at any one time. You need to create the situations as much as possible. Very good decision by the Braum here to go directly in the dragon pit, because like I said, they want to get control, but the problem is, yeah, because they were quite slow to get this reset, they gave priority over to the Camille, who was already in the jungle, in the river, sorry, trying to get this. So because Celestials know they have the weaker team comp, they need to make sure that they have some way of trying to get priority, yeah? And if they can't, well, put it this way, right? They need to get some advantage, whatever they can, to try and get this first dragon, because I think they're going to need that to avoid being outscaled. So if they don't do that, they might say, oh, well, we're in losing lanes, so we can't get priority. Yes, you can't. That's because you lost the draft. Because you drafted 3 losing lanes. So the only thing to do here is you have to try something, yeah? You're just going to lose the lane. So you're just going to lose the dragon and probably just slowly get outscaled. So, okay, good setup, right? Celestials are doing what they should be doing. They're starting the dragon. The reason for that is, well, just because either they feel like they have to, you know, they don't really have a choice. They have to be the ones trying to pressure this. So let's see what happens. One kind of bad thing here. Look, all the waves are in the center. These guys should try and push their waves out before they do this. Although, to be honest, I wasn't making too much attention to the wave state, so it's possible that they all just reset because, you know, it's been quite a lot of time since this happened. But okay, good move by Corki. What Corki is doing here, right, is, the reason he's pushing is because if this wave is crashing into tower, they can force on the dragon, and then either somebody responds to this wave or they don't, but the problem is they'll lose all this minions, so you're kind of giving your team a gold advantage by doing that. Let's see what happens, okay? All just like a bit of a dragon dance, but this dance could be avoided if people just placed a bit better vision, you know? Now, okay, Celestials start the dragon because they see Corki bot lane, so they think they've got tempo, and they do, so this is a correct play. But they just have to be careful where Aris is, yeah? One big Gragas cask and that's it. He's on a ward. Okay. You see what happened there, guys? Braum had to use flash and ult because these guys don't have any primary engage. So Braum has to be the primary engage, but you see he's just not very good for it. The champion just cannot do this. Okay, okay. Let's just watch this, guys, and I'll go back and explain it afterwards. Oh man, that sucks. Okay. Everything that happened here, right, guys, could be predicted 30 seconds ago. Look at the map state, okay? Now, the decision here is Celestials see that Corki is attacking the bot tower. So they think, okay, well, this puts us in a position where either we let Corki get the tower, which isn't good. We let the Corki get the tower for free, but he can get this for free because he knows they're not starting dragon. So Celestial start the dragon, right? Because they're like, okay, we got priority on the dragon. We got 5 members on dragon. We go for this, right? Braum sees 3 people grouped together. Braum sees 3 people grouped together, yeah. But the issue is, he really wants to force this fight because he feels like he needs to get the dragon to win the game, right? He goes for the flash, he goes for the Orianna. What he's thinking here, right, is that, okay, I get to stun onto Orianna. What's going to happen? Ezreal will dash in, as you can see. Akali's got flash, yeah? Akali can flash E and we get a free kill. If they get that kill, right, they might just win the fight because, you know, having an Orianna not in the fight will make a very big distance, very big difference in this fight. But the problem is, Orianna still has flash, and you know, Gragas is not so. Braum is not the best champion for these primary engages. His ult is always best when the enemy team is committed to a fight because, you know, it's quite a long travel time, it's very wide, it's very predictable. It's got a very loud kind of visual cue and a very loud audio cue that's going to go off, right? So he really wants to be the guy that's like, he wants people to engage into him so that he can use the ulti defensively and then applies a very massive slow. If Braum has to be the primary engage, as you can see, you know, it just doesn't end well here. The guy just flashes away and then nothing happens. So now they're actually down. They're down a Braum ult for this fight. So now all Noblesse can fight knowing that the enemy team has one less ult. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's a very big ult as well. So Young jumps in, yeah, very good idea to try and go in on Chingy, try and get an easy kill. But the problem is here, it's like, I don't think Chingy's the best target. I mean, okay, I'm not going to dwell too much on this because, you know, it's just in the moment or whatever. But the thing is, this guy's got ult, you know, he's got dash, he can very easily get away, he's got flash. See, uses ult and flashes away, so now that Chingy's just wasted his ult, I'm guessing he felt pressured. Now these guys overextend to get caught into a perfect Orianna ult, absolutely fantastic. And also, I think we missed it earlier, but the Braum ult also hit nobody, so now we're actually down, sorry, not Braum ult, Galio ult, so we're down Galio ult, Akali ult, and Braum ult, and Ezreal ult. So what these guys have to do is run away. They run away, Corki ult comes in, unfortunately hits 4 people. I've never actually seen that before, so I feel sorry for you guys, but now these guys just clean up, yeah. But you know why this happened, guys? It's just because, like, there was 2 situations in this fight where Celestials felt like they had to engage. They engaged with the Braum, it didn't work, because Braum's not primary engage. They engaged with the Akali, it didn't work. They even tried to follow up with Galio, yeah? It just didn't work, because, like I said, I don't want to stress out on these guys, but it's just not, you just can't play this fight, you know? This is a perfect example of how the game is just purely lost from the drafting phase. And now you might say, okay, yeah, players can outplay, they can play the game differently. They can, but assuming both teams are of a similar skill level, you know, it's just inevitable, yeah? It's like, there's only so many things you can do in this game to affect the outcome, right? League of Legends Wild Rift is kind of like chess-like, you know, it's not necessarily like a full sort of skill expression type game, so to speak. So, you know, at the end of the day, strategy is very important, yeah. So if you're drafting, it's kind of like a window on the strategy you've got to play, right? It's an indication to the enemy team of all the available tools you have in order to exact your kind of game plan. So if you pick 4 champions which don't, or 4 champions which aren't primary engages, right, it just means you've got to give up these dragons. But the thing is, this is doubly important because they also get outscaled, yeah. Akali not the best in the late game. Galio, he's okay, he's pretty good in the late game, but he doesn't do that much damage compared to, like, you know, an Orianna or something. Graves is fine, but not if there's no primary engage. And Ezreal's okay. Braum, again, Braum's fine, but without primary engage you can't do anything. So again, yeah, unless Celestials got really far ahead in the early game, it's going to be extremely hard to do anything here. But, you know, these guys are all challenger. They're all good players. You'll see some situations soon of how they realise their situation, right? And they think, okay, we've got to try and do something and come back in the game. And, you know, that I respect. This Rift Herald, they really don't need to contest that. I think Rift Herald is a really overrated objective. It's pretty terrible. It almost never gets the tower, yeah? It might get 1 or 2 plates if you're lucky. It's pretty bad. Good pick up onto Galio. I didn't think that was a possible gank angle, but there you go. And now it just means that these guys get, these guys can probably go and get the Rift Herald for free. Although good read by Celestials to try and get priority on the top wave because they knew that the enemy jungler was quite low. Orianna's out of mana. There's a fight that the casters are missing. Ah, it's unlucky. Akali missed a Q. That's whatever. I respect this decision, but this is a few simple misplays. And also, you know, because their Galio is dead, yeah, they engaged the fight without Galio being there. So this feels like tilt to me. Galio doesn't have ult and he wasn't in the fight, so they engaged the 4v5. You see, they don't need to fight for this Rift Herald, guys. Rift Herald's really not that much of a big objective. I don't know, maybe this is tilt, yeah, because this is actually like the last, it's a best of 1. And it's the last game before these guys went out. So, yeah, maybe it's just pressure, nerves, or whatever. They feel like they really need to beat this team. So I understand how it is, like, you know, it just is like that. But yeah, I mean, for anyone watching this, yeah, you don't need to go for Rift Herald. I think it's a pretty terrible objective. Just think about your solo queue games, right? What does Rift Herald really accomplish? Gets you 2 waves, if that. So not 2 waves, 2 tower plates, yeah. Maybe it finishes off a tower. Maybe it allows you to get another dragon, but again, it's not that much of a big deal, right? I think it's not worth acing or losing 4 people or whatever in like a normal fight just purely for the purpose of a Rift Herald, right? It's just not that good. I'd happily give up the Rift Herald in many games. Again, man, this Camille is popping off and he's gone first. This is really smart. So he's gone the Spooky Ghost and he's gone Guardian Angel. This guy just wants to go in, do his thing and hopefully live, and he's got Guardian Angel, so he can definitely do that. This guy knows his job. He's just there to facilitate the team. So, is this game over? In theory, yes. But, let's just see. Wild Rift is a lot more, for lack of a better word, comebacky than League of Legends. Kind of. Or maybe it's just level of play. You know, it's a very, very big difference between League of Legends players and Wild Rift players, myself included. So let's see. Mid lane push. Baron's up in 12 seconds. As for the dragon, yeah, so Noblesse just had priority here. They've got bot wave pushing in. Lewin just looks like he's saying fuck this, I don't wanna I don't wanna contest this dragon. Fair enough, it's just a cloud dragon, no one cares. But there's one more fight I want to show you guys before we end this video. There's a fight around mid lane which I really do respect by Celestials. Actually, I think it was a very good idea to try and, like, you know, flip the game, because at this stage, right, you know, what can they do? You've seen the past 2 fights have gone worse. The enemy team's got Noblesse, sorry, not the enemy team, has Infernal Dragon. So, you know, where really can this go? Akali really needs to get ahead to do things. Really good idea here by Camille. This Camille, man, he sees some fantastic gank angles. He really does. I'm not sure what he's like on other champions, but this guy's Camille is bull. Okay, see. Good engage here, not bad. They get a kill. This is a fight. I'll talk about this fight after. Let's just see it play out. Okay, let's go back a bit, guys. So before this fight starts, right, we know that Akali is dead. What big ults are being used on the enemy team? So for ult economy, right, everybody here's got their ult available. Camille doesn't have her ult, which is, it's not the end of the world, but it's fine. Also, Gragas is top lane, right? So what this means is that they can engage a 4v4 here, but they know that Camille doesn't have ulti. They might think, okay, we've got no choice here. We don't take this fight right now, we're probably not going to get another opportunity. So let's just look at the fight as it happens, right? Galio uses engage. Obviously he wasn't going to miss, so what he's looking for now is a big taunt. Gets a 2-man taunt. Q, passive. Braum dashes in, uses his ulti, but it still doesn't accomplish that much. Yes, they get an ult off. Galio comes back in here. I think the Graves did absolutely nothing that fight. And for some... Why have you bought Guardian Angel? What are you doing? Don't buy Guardian Angel if you're behind. You're just gonna die again. Whatever. I mean, the game's over. So you see what I mean, guys, right? I'm gonna end the video here because... yeah, the game ends. The game ends, put it that way, right, guys? I just wanted to highlight the whole importance here, right? Is that from the pick and ban phase, really, Noblesse did a fantastic job of playing this, like, triple, quadruple flex to try and, like, make people guess where it is they're actually going, right? So it means it's very, very difficult for Celestials to draft into. Now, the downside with Celestials draft is, like I say, they drafted 4 champions, which are all secondary engage. And also, they drafted losing lanes, you know, like, Again, the blind pick Braum, it's not too bad on its own. Like, this is a fine 2v2 lane, yeah, but it's just very bad in the range matchups. Akali, they tried to flex, but they ended up flexing it into an Orianna. They picked Galio, again, not the best matchup into Gragas here. And then the Graves is just like, you know, what the hell am I doing? This guy probably just wanted to farm, but the thing is, Graves can't farm and go to the late game if he doesn't have any form of primary engage, so... yeah, that's basically that, guys. Like, that's going to be the end of the video, I think. You know, shame that Celestials went out of the tournament here, because I know a lot of these guys are pretty good players, but, you know, we got to congratulate Noblesse. I really am impressed with their drafting. Like, you know, they didn't... the thing is with good drafting, yes, you don't actually have to be very good mechanically. Not that I'm saying these guys aren't good mechanically, but, you know, it's like... from minute 1, from minute 0, you might put the odds of your favour of winning, like 65-35, you know, just from a champion select. That's insane, right? That means that even if you're equal skill or even slightly worse than the enemy team, they're just going to win. You're just going to win, you know, just unless you like completely mess up massively, yeah, it's just going to happen. So, unfortunate game, but yeah, just showing you guys the importance of this, right? Thing to learn, you have to pressure the first dragon. If you're playing any kind of champion, yeah, just make sure if the first dragon is infernal, you are back, you pushed your wave in, you base, you've got the dragon, you collect vision, and you try and win the first dragon fight for your team. Because I can promise you guys, look back at your reviews, look back at your solo queue games, yeah? The first dragon fight wins the game, always. Okay, right, guys, have a good night, and see you later. Very good. Goodbye. Ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, ba-dum.